Hey, what's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy, and welcome back to Savvy Writes Books, the channel where we talk about books and business. Today, I'm going to be doing a type of video that I haven't done in a while, but after posting on my community tab and seeing that you guys are interested in this, we're going old school Savvy style today, and we are doing a writing vlog. But this is not an ordinary writing vlog. This is NaNoWriMo 2023.
Get you some nuts.
Yeah, you effing.
Up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who.
For those of you who don't know, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. It takes place yearly in November, with other similar challenges taking place in the summer and throughout the other months of the year whenever people kind of want to organize them. The idea behind NaNoWriMo is to write an entire first draft of your novel during the course of 1 month. I have successfully completed NaNoWriMo twice before in my life. First in 2017, I completed my first draft of my book Sculpt Yourself as a NaNoWriMo project, and then in 2020, RK and I wrote our first draft of our novel Cancel Sean Boston together during NaNoWriMo, which we then published during the summer of 2021. I've attempted NaNoWriMo a couple other times and failed. For example, in 2019, I tried writing a sequel to Sculpt Yourself for NaNoWriMo, but I got distracted halfway through the month and started writing Savvy Business Owner instead. I guess that's not really a fail, since I did get a decent way through a draft that I ended up publishing, but you know, I guess I didn't really finish that draft. So the most common writing goal during NaNoWriMo is to write 50,000 words during the course of 1 month, which is roughly the length of a novel first draft. Now, if you're someone who tends to overwrite and then go back and cut a lot out of your novel, 50,000 words could very well be like a third of your novel's first draft. But if you like to write novels that are more on the shorter side, more in like the 200, 250 page range kind of thing, if you're someone like me, someone who often needs to go back and add setting descriptions, add things like that in your second draft after the fact, then for you, 50,000 words may very well be roughly a first draft length. But this year, however, since I've been writing a lot this year, between the cheesy romances that I write under my pen name, plus the books I've been writing under my main name, Savvy, and the other works in progress that I have going, I have decided to double my NaNoWriMo goal. That's right, this month I am going to attempt to write 100,000 words. And here's how I'm planning to break that down. One, I have a new YA novel draft that I'm just starting this month, and that's going to be my main NaNoWriMo project. And then later in the body of this video, we're going to go into details about that project, how I'm writing it, my full process for that. But this is a new project that I'm starting from scratch with the goal to write 50,000 words, a full first draft of that. Second, I have a second work in progress, which is another novel that I'm currently about 25,000 words into. Now, if you remember the videos that I made last fall, I talked about how I was in the process of writing an anti-MLM or anti-multi-level marketing themed book about boss babe culture, including a journalist who goes undercover to expose a big MLM company. So that project has gone through so many changes, which I will also detail as we go through everything step by step in this video. But I'd like to make significant progress on that book this month as well, adding maybe 10 to 20,000 more words to it. And third, I want to write 3 new Christmas romances this month. My goal is to put out 5 short romances before Christmas, so I'd like to get 3 of them written in November and 2 in December, and then release a bundled collection of all 5 together before Christmas. So that is 50,000 words of a new novel, plus 10 to 20,000 words added to my work in progress, plus 30 to 40,000 words of Christmas romances. 3 short books that'll range from 10 to 15,000 words each, maybe 20,000 if one of them's a little longer. Let's break this all down. Let's go step by step. Let me show you guys what I've been doing throughout the month. What experimentation techniques am I using? How am I staying organized, motivated, and most of all, creative? So let's go on a month-long journey together. Now, since today we are going to be talking a lot about writing and books, I'm really excited to be sponsored by a company that has been doing so much to feed my reading habit. If you've seen my recent video reviewing the Britney Spears memoir or many of my other nonfiction reviews, then you probably know that one of my favorite ways to read is by listening to a book while walking or running with my dog along Lake Michigan. And that is something that I absolutely love to do with today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Blinkist, an app that takes over 6,500 nonfiction books, boils them down to their main points, and presents those points to you in roughly 15 minutes. That's either reading it through the app or by listening to it like an audiobook. For someone like me who's really into normally sedentary hobbies like reading, but who who's also a really active and high energy person who needs to be constantly moving and exercising, Blinkist has been a wonderful resource for consuming lots of information while I'm out running with my favorite furry running buddy, Chewy. Actually, exercise-themed books have been some of my favorites to listen to on Blinkist so far. One of the first books I chose was called In Praise of Walking by Shane O'Mara, which was really cool to listen to while I was walking with Chewy, because I got to learn all about why walking is so healthy and beneficial for your body while I was in the process of going on a long walk. I then followed that up with the book Body Science by Doug McGuff and John Little, which is a book all about the science behind weightlifting and strength training, which y'all probably know is one of my favorite hobbies if you couldn't tell. And yes, you guys heard that right. I listened to both of these books over the course of one walk with Chewy. See, this is how Blinkist works. Blinkist sources thousands of nonfiction books, which is my favorite genre, and boils them down to points called blinks, or main ideas and important takeaways from the book. This is a great way to get a ton of facts and information quickly, and it's also a great way to discover new books that you might then want to potentially go out and buy and read in full. Now, if you've watched some of my longer form video essays, then you know I read a lot of books to do all of the research for those, and Blinkist has been really helpful in allowing me to gain a lot of information from a lot of different books in bite-sized pieces, which then helps me figure out which books will be most important for me to go read in full to be a source for a specific video topic, or which book I might then want to go out and buy to potentially review the full thing for this channel. And since Blinkist has a lot of books about fitness and health, it's also been super helpful for pointing me towards books that I might want to read in full for the big fitness-themed video essay that I'm planning to work on this January. So guys, I honestly love this app. If you couldn't tell, I can't say enough good things about it. What's especially exciting is that today is Black Friday, so you can get a special deal with Blinkist to celebrate the holiday season. Until November 30th, you can get 75% off on Blinkist Premium. To get started with a 7-day free trial, go ahead and click on the link in my description below, where, remember, you can get 75% off on a premium membership. This special deal lasts only until November 30th, or as I like to call it, the final day of NaNoWriMo, or what I hopefully will get to call it, the day that I'm going to be hitting my 100,000 word writing goal for the month. And because y'all know how much I hate being alone, I hate that reading is usually a solitary activity, another thing I love about Blinkist is that it has this feature called Spaces, which allows you to share your book recommendations with your friends and family, or to create groups centered on a certain topic. That might be a cool way to start a book club. So Blinkist is currently available to download from the App Store and from Google Play. And again, if you're interested in trying Blinkist for free for 7 days for a free trial, please go ahead and click that link in my description below. And remember that you can save 75% on Blinkist Premium with the current Black Friday sale lasting until November 30th. I hope you guys enjoy this app as much as I've been. Now that we've talked all about my love for reading books, let's get into talking about my love of writing them and all the writing that I've been doing throughout October and November. Hello everyone, I may look like an absolute mess. That's because I just finished a home dumbbell cardio workout and Chewy and Harlow were in my way as usual. It was super cute. And I'm right now cooling down and getting ready to get into the shower. So while I'm waiting, I figured I would start recording some stuff. Today is Thursday, October 19th, 2023, and I have just finished setting my NaNoWriMo goals for this year. I originally had this goal for myself to write 50,000 words every month of 2023, and I did accomplish that for January, February, and March. I actually got 66,000 in January. And I'm close to accomplishing it for October as well. But there were a few months in there where I absolutely did not, and I kind of lost my streak. If any of you guys follow me on Duolingo, where I have like my 760-day streak, you guys know how much the continuous streak motivates me. So I got a little set behind on that. So I decided, because I have so many projects that I'm working on right now, a 100,000 word goal for the month of November is really where I need to be personally. If you guys remember my NaNoWriMo video from last year, I talked about how I was working on this series called The Boss Babes and how it had gone through a few different iterations. So over the past like year and a half, that started as a screenplay, which became like a series of TV episodes, which I then changed into a series of novellas, which I then changed into a radio drama, which I then changed back into a series of novellas, and I finally realized how to weave it together all into one novel. So it's one novel told non-chronologically. And y'all, I have these, all these notes on it. I have this, like, so much outlining done for this thing, and I've been making a lot of progress on it. I'm about 25,000 words into it, and I think that novel's going to be about 100,000 words when it's complete. So my goal is each month between now and February 2024, end of February 2024, because I've blocked out a timeline for myself. I want to get that novel released by the beginning of November of 2024, because the novel has a lot of Christmas and New Year's stuff in it, and while it's not a holiday story, because it has a lot of stuff happening around that time of year, I thought it might be fun to get it out before a Christmas season. So I worked backwards and plotted out what I need to do to finish that novel. It's not called The Boss Babes anymore. Now it's called Crime and Fashion, which is a title that I was excited about for it. That was originally the title of one of the novellas in the series, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to call the whole thing Crime and Fashion. I'm thinking that's going to be about 100,000 words when it's done, because I'm about 25,000 words into it and about a quarter of the way through all the stuff that I have plotted out right now. So for that one, I've broken down that if I want to get it out by beginning of November of 2024, that I need to, you know, have edits done by a certain day, rewrites done. I kind of worked backwards through the process and figured end of February of 2024 is when I want to have the first draft fully complete so I can start rewrites and have enough time to get done with that. I need to write between 15 and 20,000 words a month between now and then in order to finish that novel in time. So I want to do 15,000 words added on to that one for NaNoWriMo. So I've got the new young adult novel I'm working on, then I have 15,000 words of Crime and Fashion that I want to add to that. Next year I'm thinking of actually doing the Millwordy challenge, but if I do that, I'm going to count my magazine articles and all of my like freelance writing work and my video scripts in that, because just so you guys have a reference point, when I wrote the script for my Blindside deep dive video, that was 35,000 words. So that was like most of NaNoWriMo to write that script for one video. So I'm going to definitely count that if I end up doing the Millwordy challenge next year or anything like that. But just so you guys know, those are my plans for NaNoWriMo right now. So we're coming into the last week of October pretty soon. I'm going to be leaving at the end of the month. Every year I go to New Orleans for Halloween, and I always take the Amtrak train down. So I'm going to be doing some writing on the train. I'm going to be doing some writing while I'm there. I'll take you guys through all of those processes as well, but I just thought I would give you guys a start on where I'm going next. We'll see how I follow that. We're going to reflect on this along the way. Let's do it! Hey everybody, Savvy here. So we're still in Preptober, or when we prepare for NaNoWriMo in October, and I've been doing a lot of work getting this new YA novel outlined and coming up with a summary for it, breaking down the character profiles, doing all that kind of stuff. So I thought I would just show you guys kind of where my progress is at there. First of all, I've been thinking a lot lately about how I want to do more books writing about like experiences with disability and things like that. I know that I've talked in videos before about like wanting to do a book about somebody realizing later in life that they have autism, and I'm actually working on that as like a side project for later on, but I had a good idea, or at least I think it's a good idea. I hope you guys like it. I had an idea for one that I'm excited about for a YA LGBTQ novel about specifically dealing with scoliosis. I've written some shorter pieces in the past about dealing with scoliosis, but I've never used it for like a whole novel, and I thought it would be really fun. So this is the synopsis I have so far, and then I'll show you guys some of the prep work that I've done for this. So this book is called Not Straight, and here is the summary. After 3 years in a back brace and 10 years of physical therapy, 17-year-old Kira Donovan has finally gotten her scoliosis under control enough to become a star high school athlete. If Kira could just secure a college scholarship in women's powerlifting, she could finally get out of her stupid neighborhood, away from her parents' nonstop divorce squabbles, and out of her perfect older sister's shadow. But when her back gives out at the state championship competition, Kira has to face the fact that her spine might not be as strong as she thought it was. Now spending the rest of her junior year in physical therapy and hoping to recover fast enough that she's not stuck in a full body brace at her perfect older sister's wedding, Kira just wants to recover as fast as possible and get back under the barbell. But when Kira meets Simone Jackson, a stunning local athlete facing a career-ending industry in physical therapy, Kira starts to wonder if her spine isn't the only thing about her that's not straight. So that's the synopsis. And I've been doing a lot of breakdowns for this. So I've been doing these like character profiles. I'm writing, you know, about the character, and then on one page I'll do like a list of, okay, what's their name, how old are they, all that kind of stuff, and then over here I'll have their relationships, what are the names of their parents, their friends, and then I have space where for each character I'll draw a little map of who they know, how they're related to that character, things like that. So I have a few pages for that. And then I did kind of a, don't look for spoilers, I did kind of a Save the Cat style outline breakdown, and now I'm breaking it down chapter by chapter, and that's where I'm going next with this. So I'm still filling in the chapter outline. There's like a few chapters whose big events I have to figure out, and then I need to break them down a little bit more and finish the outlining for that. And I want to have that all ready so that on November 1st, I'm ready to just hit the ground running and start writing that. But that's a little update on where I'm at with the YA novel. That is not straight. I hope that you guys are excited for it. I'm excited to see where it goes because I haven't even started writing the body of it yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey everyone, it is Saturday, October 21st, and right now I'm doing some more Preptober work before NaNoWriMo starts, so I thought I would take you guys through some of the work that I'm doing. I've been updating my chapter outlines in here, and I have this rough outline from the Save the Cat style, but I have now a free writing document that I've opened up to just like get character voices down and things like that, and I thought I'd show you guys. I'm working on, this is the Take Off Your Pants outline. It's from the website Story Planner. I don't have a premium account or anything, but you can see some of the outlines and some of the resources even just with a free version of it, so that's what I'm doing here. This is actually how we did the first outline for Cancel Sean Boston. How we figured out the whole plot for it was from this outline. And so this one has been pretty helpful. I like to try outlining in a few different ways, experimenting with it, seeing which structure works for me, and seeing like what different ideas I can come with from different methods. So it starts with like, think about your character, you know, describe the main character, what's their flaw, and then once you have the main character and their flaw, you jump right to thinking about how's the story going to end. So you come up with the ending first, and then from there you think about, okay, what is your character's external goal that's going to get you to this point? Who is the antagonist, or what antagonizing forces is this character going to face? Who are their friends and allies? What is the theme? All that stuff. So then from there it gives you some plot structuring things. It's not as rigid as Save the Cat, where like Save the Cat's like, you know, from this page to this page roughly, because it's based on the screenplay structure, right? So it's like these minutes of the movie, the first 10 minutes of the movie will be like this. Around the 10-minute mark, you're gonna get the inciting incident. You know, the first 30 minutes of the movie will be Act 1, and then Act 2 will be the next hour. Like, it's more structured like that in terms of the pacing. This one's a little less structured in terms of the pacing, but it does help you figure out a lot of the main events of what's going to be going on in the story. It takes you through that process and kind of gets you thinking about all of that. And I think just like coming up with outlines in this way can be very freeing, because even if the story doesn't make any sense, like, it's just the outline, so you can just do it again. It didn't take that long. So I'm going to show some of the stuff I've been working on the free writing document that I have open. Don't look too hard if you don't want any spoilers. Not that there's major plot twists in this or anything, but I'm working on the Take Off Your Pants outline version right now. I'm doing my chapter by chapter outlines over here. This is also from a resource I found on Story Planner, the chapter by chapter outlines, where you break down each chapter, like what's the conflict in each chapter, what steps does the main character take toward achieving the goal that you laid out for them, what specific steps are they going to take, and events are going to happen based on that in this chapter. How do you move the plot forward with that? What does the character learn at the end of the chapter that's different from the start, and what information does this chapter reveal to the reader? What does the reader learn that they didn't know before? So by breaking all that down, it can really help you figure out, like, what specific events should happen in each chapter? How should I, you know, pace out how I'm going to be revealing information and things like that. So I'm working on that outline as well. And then I've also got some free writing going, where I've looked up a prompt online, and it was just like, to determine your character's voice, write what their morning routine might be like in their voice. So I started writing the main character, Kira. I started writing her morning routine and her just kind of talking and going on tangents, and that was helping me figure out some of her relationships to other people, some of the things she's gone through, all of that. So I think for the next few hours, I mean, it's Saturday afternoon right now, I don't have anywhere to be, so I'm just gonna sit here and continue working on my outlining and things like that, and hopefully get this chapter by chapter breakdown a little more solidified. I also still have some work I want to get done on crime and fashion today, and a little bit of fall romance stuff that I want to write. I don't know how much of that I'll get done today versus this week versus like when I'm on the train next weekend. We're just gonna have to wait and see, but that's where I'm at right now with all of this, and I guess I'll just check back in later. All right, so the other night I was trying to finish this outline and I was having trouble focusing on it. So I was like, you know what? It's a Friday night. I've got my Friday night in the house to myself. I'm just gonna get really stoned and play The Sims and I'll come back to writing later. And you know what? Playing The Sims helps me figure out the outline, okay? Because I decided to make my main character Kira in The Sims, and there's this whole scene that I'm plotting out where she goes prom dress shopping with a back brace on. So when I'm making her Sims like formal wear outfit, I was like, which one of these dresses is gonna work that's gonna look for her to look good in her back brace at the prom? And then I was like, none of them. She should wear a suit because that'll cover it. And that's how I got this idea that there's going to be this whole scene where she decides to wear a suit and her prom date thinks it's cool, but her dad thinks it's bad. And it leads to this greater conflict between her and her dad about, I'm just like, oh my God, this is perfect. And because I visualized it looking at The Sims, that's how I got there. So y'all, you ever get stuck on your outline, you play The Sims. Hey y'all, alright, so I'm back. It's now November 7th, 2023, and I am back from my trip to New Orleans. While I was out of town, I got 13,286 words written for my new YA novel draft for the novel called Not Straight. So let's go over what I did. So, as usual, if you guys have been following me for a while, you probably know, I took the Amtrak train down to New Orleans. On the way out, I rode coach, and then on the way back, I got a roomette, one of the sleeper cars, for the first time ever because I wanted to try something new and fancy just for fun. So, I left from Chicago to go to New Orleans at 9 p.m. on October 29th. Guys, there's going to be a lot of what sounds like those train math problems in this video to be like, my train left Chicago at this time on this day to go to New Orleans, and then the train went back. We're not doing math, I'm just summarizing what happened. Anyway, it was October 29th, so we were still a couple days away from the start of NaNoWriMo. The train ride from Chicago to New Orleans is roughly 19 hours. I don't know the velocity that it's going at, so we're not doing math. But what I'm trying to say here is that when I'm riding in the coach seat, I can usually only expect to get about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and so the rest of the time I spend on the train is for writing. So since it was still October, my goals for writing on the way out were first to work on my YA novel outline and second to finish up fall romance that I wanted to get submitted to KDP. That's Kindle Direct Publishing, Amazon's self-publishing platform. I wanted to get a new short romance submitted there before November started because it was a fall romance. So I tried to get some writing done in my seat on the train, but that can be really difficult because the tray tables they're not a good height for typing. You end up hunched over like this. So I went to the lounge car as soon as it opened. In the lounge car, I just parked myself at a table for pretty much the rest of the ride. And I'm always surprised at how open the lounge car is. Even though the train was completely full, I always had multiple seats to choose from in the lounge car, including seats with tables. So I guess people would just prefer to stay in the coach seat than go to the lounge car. I don't know why, you do you. So I wrote for most of the night of October 29th. Then around midnight, I went to my seat and I slept for a couple hours. And then around 6 a.m., the snack car started serving coffee. So I got some coffee and I headed back to the lounge car to write some more. During the course of that ride, I did finish the fall romance that I wanted to get done. I then arrived in New Orleans around 4 p.m. on Monday, October 30th, and I wasn't going to do any more writing that day, so RK and I went to a basketball game, and then we watched some Halloween movies. That was fun. The next day was Halloween, or as we'll call it here, NaNoWriMo Eve. So I headed to one of my favorite New Orleans coffee shops, and I sat down for 3 hours to work on finishing as much of my YA novel outline as I could. During this time, I was writing some more chapter outlines. Now, if you remember that realization that I had the weekend right before I left, I realized that Kira is going to be wearing a suit to prom to help hide her back brace, but that wearing a suit is going to cause an argument with her dad. So that new knowledge helped me map out the scene where Kira and her friends go prom dress shopping, as well as a fight that's going to happen with her dad later on in the book. Now, I didn't get the entire book outlined that day. Usually before I start writing a novel, I like to have at least like the first few chapters or the first half of the book fully outlined. That way I can start writing, I can move along pretty quickly, and I won't get too stuck at the beginning when I'm just like diving into the new project. But I also don't like to outline everything super rigidly because then often certain plot points come to mind when I'm in the process of writing and just discovering new things. Now, I did outline the last chapter and a few of the chapters toward the end, but there's also a few chapters interspersed throughout the middle that aren't fully outlined yet. I know that this book is going to be roughly 20 chapters, and I'm using that knowledge to help me with pacing, to figure out where the major events need to happen and things like that, but I also have a few chapters that are just still completely blank so that I can figure out Like, do I need to stretch some scenes out? Do I need to add some new scenes? Do I need to resolve a new subplot that just arose when my mind randomly thought of it during writing? That kind of thing. Then I dressed up as Barbie for Halloween. I was Barbie, and my American Girl doll, who I made to look like me, also dressed up as Barbie, and she carried a Barbie of her own. I called it 3-tier Barbieception. The next morning was November 1st, or the first day of NaNoWriMo. I started off the day by RK and I went to an MMA class, so we got a good workout in, got our energy out, and then it was time to write again, so I headed back to the coffee shop and I wrote there for the next 3 hours. When I'm writing my romances, I tend to write really, really fast. Anyone who's been on Writing Sprints live streams with me knows that I tend to write like 2,500 to 3,000 words an hour, meaning like 1,000 to 1,500 words in each 30-minute writing sprint. I guess people have kind of asked why I write fast, because like a lot of people who write fast dictate. I don't dictate, I type. But I think the reasons I write fast are a combination of a couple factors. One, as I mentioned, I tend to outline at least the first few and last few chapters ahead of time, so I'm not stuck trying to figure out like, oh god, how's it gonna start? What's gonna happen? That kind of thing. Within the parameters of the outline, I can then explore what the characters are going to do. Second, I just kind of lack shame. And if you've seen my Brene Brown video, you've probably heard me talk about how shame and embarrassment and things like that are kind of foreign emotions to me. And I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing in terms of like human survival instincts, but it is pretty helpful when it comes to writing first drafts of books. I don't worry too hard about whether it sucks or whether I'm cringing at myself, because I just want to write the words. Like, the rest of it doesn't matter. I'll just write whatever words I feel like or whatever comes to mind, and if I don't like them later, I can change them later. Like, it's a document, I can edit it. So that's kind of the mindset I have. And then third, I'm just a really high energy person, if you guys couldn't tell. I drink a lot of coffee. I work out a lot. I think as a result, I just have this constant like fidgety energy, and I just like tapping the keyboard, and I want my fingers to constantly be touching the keyboard, so I don't want to stop writing. To the best of my knowledge, those are the best reasons I can think of as to why I write fast, but I'll keep thinking about it. But all that's to say that what I didn't expect was having to actually slow down when I started writing this new book. During those 3 hours of writing time, I wrote 2,839 words, which meant that I completed the first chapter of the book. Now, that's about half as fast as I usually write, maybe like a third of the speed of what I usually write. So I had to take a step back and wonder, why was I writing more slowly all of a sudden? One reason I could think of is that I have chosen to write this YA novel in first-person present tense, and I write all of my romances in third-person past tense. Now, the reason for that is, like, when I'm writing romances, I tend to alternate back and forth between two main characters, as many romance authors do, and I don't want to just keep alternating within first person. Now, if you're a romance reader, you probably know that lots of romance novels use alternating first person and do it very well, changing the point of view character in each chapter, but I don't really like reading romances that way, and I don't really like writing them that way either. It's just a personal preference. So I personally think it's easier to keep track of the characters when you're reading their names in third person regularly throughout the chapter. So that's just a personal preference of mine. But sorry about that side tangent. That's all to say that while I enjoy romances in third person, I tend to both read and write YA novels that are in first person present tense instead. So I was back to getting used to writing in a point of view and a verb tense that I hadn't primarily used in a couple years at this point. I think the last book I published that was in first person present tense was One Final Vinyl, and that came out in 2020. So then my next step was just having to manage my expectations for how much writing I could get done in a given time period, plus make sure I was allowing myself enough time to write. On November 2nd, I got 2,776 words of my YA novel written while in the coffee shop once again, and then on November 3rd, I got 3,610 words. That was by far my best day in the coffee shop writing in New Orleans, and then after that, RK and I went back to the gym and we lifted some weights. So then Saturday, November 4th, I got on the train headed back to Chicago. The train left New Orleans at 2:45, and I had a sleeper car. This was my first time ever riding in a sleeper car. You guys, it was amazing. I can't recommend the sleeper car enough. Yeah, I paid like 3 times what I paid for the coach ticket, but it was amazing. My first hour in the sleeper car, I got 2,448 words written, and I think I write a lot faster in the sleeper car than I do in coach or in the lounge car because, all right, picture this. When I'm in the lounge car, like I have a coach ticket and then I go to the lounge car to spread out. I'm sitting there, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm writing, a couple hours go by, wow, now I have to go to the bathroom. Well, I can't just leave my iPad out in a train full of strangers, and there's no bathroom in the lounge car. The only bathroom I can use is one car over and one floor down, so now I have to pack up my iPad, go to the bathroom, come back, set everything back up again. But when you're in the sleeper car, not only is the bathroom right next to your room, but also you have the whole little room to yourself. So you don't have to put anything away. You just leave your stuff out, go to the bathroom, and come right back. It's just like writing at home. It's so much faster. But then after that, y'all know we don't call it a sleeper car for nothing, so I fell asleep. I think all the weightlifting, all the trips to the gym, all the lack of sleep on my ride out there just all caught up with me because I just passed out. I fell asleep for like 10 hours on that train. But then in the morning, I woke up and I got back to writing. Before the train arrived home in Chicago at 10 a.m., I wrote 1,613 more words. Then when I was back home, my dogs were happy to see me and all I wanted to do was play The Sims all day, so I just took a break. So anyway, that is how I wrote 13,286 words of my YA novel while traveling. During this time, I got through the first 4.5 chapters. At the end of chapter 4 of this YA novel, that's where Kira's back gives out during the powerlifting competition. And then in chapter 5, she wakes up in the hospital. Now, before my train arrived home, I got about halfway through the scene of Kira being at the hospital. I thought the hospital scene would be a good place to weave in a lot of the backstory when Kira has to go over her medical history with the doctor at the hospital. She can also go through some flashbacks from the past, tell the reader about her past in physical therapy, about being diagnosed with scoliosis, wearing a back brace, trying to avoid spinal fusion surgery, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I will say one of the scariest things was going to the gym every day after writing this. Like, imagine having to write a scene in detail about a girl with scoliosis throwing her back out and passing out on the mat during a squat, and then going to the gym with scoliosis and squatting. It's scary, okay? It was scary. I think I'm going to market this book as Own Voices, and that's for 2 reasons: for LGBTQ representation and for disability representation. So I'm a woman in the LGBTQ community, much like my main character Kira, and I also have scoliosis just like she does, so I think that could be a fun way to promote the book when I'm gonna publish it, which is probably gonna be next summer. So that is the writing I got done during the first week of NaNoWriMo. November 7th has been my first day of writing back at home, so I spent it on a Writing Sprints live stream. An author tuber that I like, Phoebe Writes Fiction, was live streaming, so I joined her stream in the chat. As you guys know, super extroverted, which is very difficult when you're a writer and you gain your energy from being around other people and interacting with others, and that's one reason that I love writing streams. They keep me super motivated, so I always take it as a little challenge to see how many words I can write during the sprint timers. During the 3 sprints on stream, I wrote 3,648 words total, bringing my current word count on Not Straight to 16,934 words. Each sprint was 30 minutes long, and I wrote between 1,000 and 1,400 words on each sprint, meaning that I was back in my zone of fast writing again. That could be because I've now been back to writing in first person present tense for a full week, so now I'm used to it again, or maybe it's just something about the magic of writing sprints themselves that makes me motivated to write really fast. I don't know. I'm gonna keep experimenting and figuring it out. I got through the end of chapter 6 during those sprints. Originally, chapter 6 was supposed to be the scene where Kira goes prom dress shopping with her friends, but she's stuck in a back brace and can't find a dress that looks good. However, I ended up moving that scene to chapter 7 because in chapter 6, I realized I still had a lot to cover regarding how Kira faces her coach after having to forfeit the tournament and getting injured. So I built up this scene with her coach, as well as having some scenes of Kira and her friends dealing with the fallout from her injury. I actually think it's a good idea that I had to push back the prom dress shopping scene because chapter 7's outline was feeling a little empty, and I think that scene's gonna work better there. And then I can build up her conflict with her dad more throughout chapter 8, right as Kira starts physical therapy and meets Simone, who's gonna be the love interest. So that is where I'm at right now with this project. My next step is going to be to finish outlining my Christmas romance for the month, so I'll see you then. Okay, now that I'm working on Christmas romances, I just want to have a quick note about my romance writing. I've mentioned this in a few videos before, but just to clear everything up if you're new here. So, I write my YA novels, my children's books about dogs, my nonfiction books, and do journalism assignments under my name, Savvy Lizer. But for my romances, I write under a pen name. I am eventually going to reveal that pen name on this channel, but not yet, and there is a reason for that. So right now, YouTube is very clearly my biggest platform, which is great. I love making videos. I love talking to you guys. I love this awesome community we've built here. But as a result, a lot of people nowadays, ever since my channel grew past like 50,000 subscribers or so, a much larger percentage of people who find my books on Amazon find them through this channel. And that's a good thing. I want people to be interested in what I'm writing. That's awesome. But there's one downside to it, and that's that I'm not learning or gaining momentum in e-commerce algorithms themselves. So here's an example. If I go into incognito mode and look up one of my books on Amazon, let's say I search for 90s Kids, the recommendation section on Amazon might say people who bought this book also bought Princess Allie, which is one of my kids' books about dogs, or Savvy Business Owner, which is a nonfiction book about starting a small business. Those books all have only one thing in common, and that is me. It's the fact that I wrote them. And in terms of actual target readers, those books have nothing in common. They don't have the same target audience. Ideally, if someone is to look up 90s Kids, if I were working in the algorithm correctly, Amazon should theoretically recommend books like One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, another LGBTQ time travel romance, or Ready Player One, another YA sci-fi novel filled with 80s and 90s nostalgia references. But instead, it recommends children's picture books and business self-help books, because a lot of people reading 90s Kids right now are probably from my viewers here, meaning that they also got curious and looked up my other books. Again, that's not a bad thing. But I did want a year or two of time to learn what drives customers to purchase books in certain genres and build just an author presence around a genre and the content specifically instead of around me as a person. So that's why I started writing romance under a pen name, to figure out what sells, what specific things readers are looking for in specific books, to figure out how to build an online platform based solely on the content of the books themselves. Remember, I did have a readership before I joined YouTube, but that was largely from in-person events. I sold at festivals, at craft fairs, at local book fairs and events, did local author events in Chicago, things like that. So I was more of a vendor and an exhibitor and a visitor and things like that, and I built my author presence that way. So the experience of building a readership through shared interest in book genres online rather than in person on an e-commerce platform, that is something that I did not learn at the start of my career. And that's because I dove straight into YouTube when the COVID lockdowns hit and canceled all of my in-person events that I was doing back in 2020. I dove straight into building this YouTube platform, and so that's kind of the way I went instead. So basically, that's all to say that I'm going to tell you guys my pen name eventually, but not until I feel like I've learned enough about the target audience for these books, what's growing, what I'm doing. I'm kind of approaching it the way I started my YouTube channel. Test something out, put it online, see what works, see what people like, see what they don't, test something else out, keep doing that, keep building an audience around something specific, but in this case it's around romance books instead of building this channel around you guys on YouTube who want to watch me. Trying to figure out like what makes people want to click on a specific book and read it, what marketing tactics work best online, all of that kind of thing. I hope that makes sense to you guys, but that's kind of the experimentation I'm doing right now. So I'm going to be talking about some of my romances here in this video, but I'm not going to be advertising any of them or linking any of them or anything like that. Now, with all of that said, it is time for me to stop talking and actually start writing some of these holiday romances, so I'll see you later. Hey everyone, so it is November 8th, 2023, Wednesday, and I'm working on writing Christmas romances today. I'm hoping to make a little progress on the YA novel as well, but here's what's going on with the Christmas romance right now. So today I have written 3,383 words of a new Christmas romance, and I've also kind of been outlining it as I go along. Now, I may have made a mistake in not fully outlining the Christmas romances during October. Instead, just outlining them in the moment right now. Because a lot of times when I'm writing my romances, I like to just like go really fast. I have a lot of fun with that. I have an idea, I have some character names and things like that, and then like, oh, what's gonna happen each chapter? And I start just like experimenting and writing down ideas, and then I go into actually writing the draft based on the outline. But it is taking me a little more time to write these because I didn't outline them ahead of time, but not that much more time, because remember, romances are kind of the faster way for me to write. So I feel like I got some good progress on this romance today so far, but I'm realizing as I'm doing the outline that it's going to be like twice as long as I thought it would be. Originally, I was like, okay, I'll write 3 romances, maybe each will be like 10,000 words. This one's gonna be like 20,000, I'm pretty sure. I realized normally my romances are like 7 to 10 chapters, and I think this one's gonna be 15 chapters, which I did not expect. I did not expect it to be 15 chapters. I am 2 chapters in. I'm like at the start of chapter 3 right now, and we're already over 3,000 words in this thing. So I think this book's going to be a little longer than I initially expected, which means I got to plan a little more time for writing it. Which means for Thursday, November 9th, you know, a lot of my writing that day was slotted in my calendar to be for writing scripts for videos, to be for writing a script for the next video I'm going to film. But I think I'm also going to have to now budget a lot of writing time to get this romance done. I'm going to tell you guys a secret, okay? I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't know, this might make me lose a lot of respect in the author community because I regularly do something that, I'm building it up to make it sound way worse than it is. I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but it's part of my experimentation process, okay? I regularly like to set pre-orders for books on Amazon before I've even started writing them. I don't do that often, but I have done it like 3 or 4 times now. And let me explain what that means for people who aren't here. A lot of writers are out there probably just like their chest just tightened up. Like I'd imagine people be like, you do what? You do what? Okay, so as you guys probably know, with my romances, I self-publish those, and I self-publish them through KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing or Amazon self-publishing platform. I'm kind of journaling about the process of doing this right now and experimenting with, you know, what happens when I make the books Amazon exclusive? What happens when I put them on the Kindle Unlimited platform? Getting page reads there, does that help more than getting orders? Things like that. But on Amazon, on the KDP platform, if you set up a book for pre-order, it gives you, like, you can set the release date and then people can pre-order it. And then you can, it gives you a specific range of days. Like, you have to submit your final manuscript before this date. And if you don't, then anyone who pre-orders it, all their pre-orders get canceled, they all get refunded, and you as the author get penalized by not being allowed to set any more pre-orders for a full year. And a penalty to not set any pre-orders for a full year is not something you want, right? Especially because, like, when I'm experimenting with these romances, one thing I'm experimenting with is like, oh, should I run some Amazon ads on these? And if I'm going to run ads on them, I need to schedule those ads in advance, meaning I need to have the release date set and have the pre-order set so that I can go and schedule the ads on that so that the ads will hit on the release date and it'll gain the initial momentum. So that's one reason that I want to continue to be able to set up pre-orders. Normally most people normally set pre-orders for books that are like, you've not only written it, but you've written like multiple drafts, your final draft, and are in your final proofreading or formatting stage. But I am chaotic and probably stupid, and so I regularly say, you know what, I kind of want to set a pre-order for this book now, so I'm going to do that. So for this romance I'm writing right now, I have 9 days to finish it. I know that's chaotic. I have 9 days to go from having started the first draft to writing the final draft, editing it, formatting it, and getting it published. Otherwise, I will be penalized and lose my pre-order privileges for a year. And that is extremely stressful. But if you're someone who thrives on stress, it's extremely motivating because you're like, now I'm required. I cannot put this off. I have to write this right now or I'm getting penalized. You give yourself a deadline and then you have Amazon, the biggest corporation in the world, holding you accountable. It's like, oh, you're your own boss. You don't have a boss breathing down your neck. So I made the scariest boss ever breathe down my neck instead. I'm not recommending that to anyone. I think it's extremely stressful because then all of a sudden you're like, shit, I better write this right now. I have to edit this. I have to fix this. But if you're someone who works really, really well under pressure and under a time crunch, it'll force you to do it. Now, I guess theoretically someone could say like, okay, but you might risk your book being shit because you just weren't able to get it done before the deadline. Which is true, but also everything you write has the potential to be shit and to have people hate it. And I guess the other option is to just not publish it at all. But that's not what I want to do. I want to put out a lot of things and see what sticks. So I'm forcing myself to put out a lot of things. I'm curious what people think of that process. Amazon is going to eat me if I do not finish this entire 20,000 word book. Not just the first draft, final draft fully edited and formatted. I have to finish it in 9 days. Is that chaotic? Yes. Do I recommend you do it? No. Am I gonna do it because I'm insane? Yeah. So I guess now it's time to get back to writing. My goal, goals for the rest of the week. So for Thursday, I have to script a new video. I also better get at least 10,000 words of this romance written, because I got 9 days to submit it, but I want to get it out before Thanksgiving, because it has Thanksgiving scenes in it and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm enjoying the rapid release process. This is the crazy rapid release lifestyle, but I'm having a good old time with it. So back to writing we go. Hello everybody. It is now nighttime. It's 8:23 p.m. on Thursday, November 9th, and I have finished with what I'm going to be writing for today. I didn't get as much writing done as I wanted to, and that is for one reason, and that's that the majority of writing I did today was for a video script, so that's going to be for a video that I have to film probably this weekend or early next week, so I had to get that done first, and then I spent the rest of my time writing Christmas romance, so I got 2,643 words. I've been tracking my word counts in my cute little business bullshit notebook. I love this notebook because one side has lined paper and the other side has dotted paper, so like graph paper, so I've been keeping my word count tracks here. So I got to 6,026 words total in this new Christmas romance that I'm writing, and again, I imagine the story is going to be 15 to 20,000 words by the time it's done. So 2,643 words total written for that today. Tomorrow I'm planning to go to some writing sprint streams. A creator I like named The Dawdling Writer runs writing sprint live streams on Monday and Friday, so I think tomorrow I'm going to try to go hang out on her stream, get some writing sprints done then. But that's my update for today. I've also been drinking coffee out of my NaNoWriMo mug, which I got in the mail a couple years ago because I made a video for the official NaNoWriMo channel to help them promote the challenge, and they sent me a mug as a thank you. So I like this mug. I like to use it. And I've also been hanging out with my girl Rebecca right here. One thing you guys probably know about me is that I love to have dolls hang out with me while I work on things. So earlier today I had Claudie sitting on my lap while I was writing my video script. It's for my video about WeWork, which I'm pretty sure is going to come out before this video comes out. So I finished writing that script. I was hanging out with Claudie during that, and then I decided to have Rebecca come hang out with me. I've started dressing up some of the dolls for the holidays, so I got Rebecca the Hanukkah dress, and it comes with a little Star of David necklace, and I just love this dress and think that it's so cute. And then on Etsy, I bought a Christmas dress for Molly, and then I got a couple other just like festive looking dresses and some like Christmas dogs in Santa hat pajamas, and I'm gonna look for a few like doll-sized Christmas sweaters soon too. That has nothing to do with writing. My point is, the reason that I've been kind of hanging out with my dolls that I've dressed festively is that it gets me in the holiday mood. I'm trying to write some holiday romance. I gotta be in the festive spirit, so having a doll hang out with me who's all sparkly and ready for some holiday joy and cheer and celebration, it really, gets me in the right mindset. So this is one thing I would write about in my book Conversations with My Puppet, which came out this past summer, about how just kind of the tactile stimulation of having a toy with me while I work on things, being able to touch them, just being able to play with them, just the sensory input is really helpful for me. I've heard that can be like an ADHD thing and things like that. I am diagnosed with ADHD, so it might be that might be part of it. I don't know. But anyway, that's my recommendation. Hold dolls and have them cheer you on and help you out while you work on your writing, because it'll be motivational for you. So anyway, I need to go hang out with another one of my dolls now, Courtney, in her 80s workout outfit, because I need to go do a workout. But I will be back tomorrow to update you guys on where I'm at with my writing and all of that. I hope you're all having a good day today. Hello, update. It is now November 10th, 2023. It is Friday. We're on Friday afternoon right now. It's around 2:47 in the afternoon. That's what my clock says. I have my NaNoWriMo mug full of coffee right here. I just finished participating in a writing sprint stream on the Dawdling Writers channel. I had one of the best writing sprints in my life. I want to say like 1,680 words written in a 30-minute sprint. It felt so good. I was so happy with that. So that just happened, and I've written almost 4,000 words today. I'm at like 3,900 something right now. So I'm still working on this Christmas romance that just keeps building and getting longer. It might end up being like 30,000 words, which is going to be the longest for any of my romances for a while, but I'm going to try to keep the next two kind of short after that because I'm in the process of getting this done, and I'm also experimenting with Amazon ads for it. So I'm running an ad campaign, and I just tried researching some targeted keywords and that kind of thing. So I'll let you guys know how that goes once I have a better idea. But I'm going to attempt that. I'm trying to run some ads on the launch day so that it can get some initial momentum. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm still kind of learning the advertising process, but luckily you can kind of set small budgets and figure out where you want to distribute things in the meantime. So right now I'm going to go back into writing more of this romance. I want to say like a third of the way through, a little more than that, between a third and half of the way through writing it, and it's about 10,000 words right now. So it's gonna be over 20K, I'm pretty sure, by the time it's done, but we'll have to wait and see. I really want to make significant progress on it today because then I want to get some of my NaNoWriMo YA novel, get more of Not Straight written tomorrow. So, and tomorrow I also have a photo shoot for Hipster Unicorn Fashion's merch launch for the November and December collection, some Christmas stuff, as well as some just, general fun fall fashions and stuff, and more of my weird art on clothes. So I have a photo shoot for that tomorrow. I'm probably going to go to downtown Chicago and do stuff, which will be fun because, downtown in November and December, they get all the pretty lights put up. There's a lot of really festive, fun stuff down there. So that'll be fun. But because of that, I'm going to have more limited time tomorrow to write. So I'm going to really try to get more done today. I'm close to 4,000 words. Maybe I can make it a 10,000 word day today. I haven't had one of those in a couple weeks. If I can, that would be pretty awesome. So hopefully the NaNoWriMo mug will give me strength. If you can see sort of in the background, I've been dressing up more of my American Girl dolls in their holiday outfits as well, so they're motivating and inspiring me too. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna see how far I can get in this Christmas romance today. I'd love to get like 2/3 of the way done with it today. Hopefully get it finished by this weekend so I can edit and format it and get it, uploaded and all of that. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick full month word count update because I've got my word count tracked right here. Let's do a quick word count update for the month as a whole. Okay, so as of last night, I was at 22,960, so almost 23,000 words for the month. And then I've written another about 4,000 today, so I'm close to 27,000 words for the month so far, which is a little bit behind. It would be ahead if I were doing the 50,000 words challenge because it's November 10th, so, you'd want to hit 25,000 around November 15th. So I'm at around 27,000 by November 10th, so that's good, that's ahead. But for trying to get 100,000 words, I theoretically should have reached this goal like 2 or 3 days ago. So we're gonna keep going. Today is a third of the way through the month, so ideally I should surpass 30,000 words today. If I can do that, then I'll feel like I'm back on track. So getting back to the writing. Hey everybody, Savvy here. So it is November 12th, 2023 right now. So it is Sunday. Right now we're in Sunday afternoon, and I'm about to take a little break from writing to go walk my dogs. But here is an update on where I'm at with everything. So yesterday I didn't get any writing done on Saturday because my friend Sarah, who you guys may also know is my manager and kind of works with me on things as well, she was here because she was doing a photo shoot for me for my Hipster Unicorn merch launch that I'm doing this coming Thursday. So by the time this video is out, the November and December collection will have already been launched, but we were taking photos together for that. So I spent that day with her, and now today I'm trying to catch up on everything. So far I've gotten about 4,000 words written today. I'm going for a 10K day, and right now we're at about 3:40 in the afternoon. So trying to get 10,000 words total. I'm taking a break because I need to go walk Chewy and Harlow and, give them some nice time outside before the sun sets early for daylight savings time. But where I'm at is that I am now about 16,000 words into the Christmas romance that I'm writing, and I'm about 16,000 words into the YA novel as well. Making good progress on them both. I think this particular Christmas romance is going to be a lot longer than I expected, probably closer to 30,000 words than to 20,000, which was my initial estimate. Actually, I think like 15,000 was my initial estimate, so it's going to be like twice as long as usual, but I'm making good progress on it. I love some of these fun, wacky holiday hijinks scenes that I'm writing. It's a great time. So I'd like to finish that one by the end of tomorrow if possible, so I want to get close to the end of it today, and if I get a 10,000 word day today, that should be like 22,000 words of that book written, and then I should be able to finish it tomorrow on other writing sprints. And then tomorrow I also have to film another video. So it's a really busy day with a lot going on, and I'm really trying to get the writing done as efficiently as possible. So I'm really excited to go into some more writing sprints and keep writing, but I figured I'd give you guys an update on where everything's at, and we're gonna keep going. Oh, today I've been on a couple writing sprint streams. The Dawdling Writer is one. Her stream was excellent, and now I'm hanging out on another writing stream with Morgan Hazelwood, who's also another really cool author tuber. So I'll link in the description below the streams that I've been on and the people who run sprints in case writing sprints is something that helps you guys and you want to check those out as well. But for now, back to writing. Hey, it is still November 12th, but it is now 7:54 p.m. and I have an update. That update is that today was a really successful writing day. I wrote 11,454 words today, and I started writing around like 1 p.m.-ish, took a break to walk the dogs, that kind of thing. But I have been writing for close to 7 hours at this point, maybe more like 6.5 hours. So that is a lot of writing that I did. I spent a lot of time writing, and I was on writing stream, so it wasn't like I was just typing nonstop that whole time. I would take a break, listen to people talk, share my thoughts with other people, that kind of thing. But it was a really productive writing day today. My Christmas romance is now at 23,585 words, and I'm hoping to get it finished tomorrow. I do have a video to film tomorrow and some other work to get done tomorrow, so it is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but I think I can get it done. And that also means that today I have now reached a total of 40,519 words for the month. So for the whole month of November so far, I am about 40,000 words into my 100,000 word goal. Not quite halfway there yet, but we're also not quite halfway through the month yet, so that's fine. But considering that Thanksgiving is coming up and I'm going to be, going to spend time with my family, I am going to try to write while I'm with my family at Thanksgiving as much as possible. But I do want to get a little bit ahead of schedule as well, which might be a little tough this week because I got some videos to film, some sponsor ads to read, some things to edit, things like that. But I think it's going to be okay because I am blocking out lots of time to write, and I've been really invested in these projects and staying really focused in them. So I want to get this Christmas romance done tomorrow, and then I have another one I want to write. I think I'll try to write that other one throughout the rest of the week and then return to the YA novel this coming weekend. But I'll update you if plans on that change. But anyway, that was today. A successful 11,454 words written today. I'm feeling very accomplished and very good about where I am in terms of my progress, and I think I'm ready to stop writing for the night and go just kind of relax and do other things. So I'll report back tomorrow. So now it is Tuesday, is that right? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, November 14th. I have my coffee in my NaNoWriMo mug. Yesterday, I think, was my best writing day of all time. Okay? You want to hear how many words I wrote yesterday? I wrote 12,149 words yesterday. That's what I wrote yesterday. I think that's one of my best writing days ever. I finished this romance thing that I'm working on, and it ended up being 35,734 words, which is a lot more than I was expecting. When I first was plotting this out, I was like, this will be 10, maybe 15,000 words. And I was like, as I was scripting it, outlining it, I was like, oh, maybe more like 20,000. I should budget for that. No, 35,000. So this is probably the closest I've come to writing like a full romance novel. This is like a whole novella at this point. The second Christmas romance that I'm writing, I want to make a lot shorter because doing 35,000 words for that one, that really surprised me. And I'm gonna end up like going way over my 100,000 word count goal if I end up making all three of them this month that long. And that would be cool. It'd be cool to surpass a goal by that much, but I just don't know if I have enough time to do that. I think that would be a little insane. So instead, I'm going to aim to make this next one about 10,000 words. So I need to outline it and make the outline a little tighter, a little quicker paced. And I think that'll be better because this one that I just wrote takes place from Thanksgiving through Christmas, so it's like a whole month passes. The one I'm writing right now is going to take place over the course of one weekend, so I can definitely condense things a lot more and we can get to things a lot faster. There's going to be a lot more just romantic and sexual tension and a lot less of the goofy hijinks within there. Like the one I just wrote was a lot more of a romantic comedy with a lot of comedy, and this one's going to be a lot more of a traditional quick romance. So that's what I'm doing next, and then I will be heading into working on the YA novel some more. Other fun, exciting bit of news is that yesterday I passed 50,000 words for the month of November. So it was November 13th. So less than halfway through the month, and I got past 50,000 words. So 50,000 words, as I mentioned, is usually the goal for NaNoWriMo, but I doubled it, so I'm 100,000 words. So I'm now over halfway there, which is good because we're less than halfway through the month, and I definitely need to give myself a little bit of space for when I'm with my family on Thanksgiving. Hello, so it is currently 2:44 p.m. on November 20th, 2023, and I'm at the point where I have to get to editing this vlog. So we're going to start talking about a few takeaways. I'll see if there's anything extra I can add in. The month is not over yet, so I have not yet hit the 100,000 word goal, but we're going to add up everything that I've written this month and see how far I've gotten. All right, so we know that by November 13th, I had 52,668, 52,668, and then let's look at a couple days after that. Okay, so as of right now, I am now at 61,038 words. So I am behind once again, which is not good, but here, let me explain what happened. So this past week, I ended up feeling kind of sick, and I was worried that I was going to start getting sick, so I started taking a little extra time to relax. I started writing a little bit slower, and then on the weekends, I did some writing sprints and things like that, but then I also took a little bit of time off. Now, in these couple days leading up to Thanksgiving, here is what is my plan going forward. So today, I need to edit this vlog. I need to get this all edited. I'm also doing some interviews and some like stuff in advance for a video that I'm going to have coming out the following week. And then tomorrow I need to script that video. Wednesday morning I need to film that next video. And then Wednesday afternoon I'm heading over to spend a couple days with family for Thanksgiving. Couple plans along the way there. One, I think tonight I'm going to do some night writing sprints and try to get as much writing in as possible. My goal is to finish Christmas Romance number 2 tonight. Christmas Romance number 1 officially releases tomorrow, which is really exciting. But Christmas Romance number 2, I'm hoping to get finished with writing that tonight, and then I'm hoping to make some good progress on the YA novel over Thanksgiving while I'm with my family. I'm planning to take my iPad, which has like a keyboard that attaches to it and syncs up with it. I'm going to take that over there and write with them, kind of like what I did on the train. Like I wrote on the train, I'll write over there with my family while I'm there for a couple days, and there's some downtime, things like that. So I'm planning to get some writing done there as well. One thing I've learned from this process is just how extreme my writing process can be. It's very all or nothing in a lot of cases. Like, yeah, there's a couple days like yesterday, for example, that I got 1,203 words, which is like a very normal amount to get in a day, especially during like NaNoWriMo or something. Or there are days when I get like, 2,400 words or something, like word counts like that people would expect to be your daily word count during NaNoWriMo. But there are also days when I just completely skipped over that day and didn't write anything because like I wasn't feeling well and I needed a complete break. And then there are days like last Tuesday, was it last Monday or Tuesday? Yeah, last Monday, November 13th, when I got 12,000 words. I wrote more than 12,000 words in that one day, which is a pretty substantial amount of writing. And that's kind of always been the way that I've lived my life. I've always pretty extreme on things. I either like am working super hard and juggling a million things at once, or I'm asleep. Like I don't have a whole lot of in between. Like I'm either laying down on the couch completely motionless, like maybe I'm watching TV or maybe I'm completely passed out asleep, or I am lifting weights and then running home from lifting weights to write as many words as I can as fast as I possibly can, and then juggle making a video on top of that. So there's not a whole lot of moderation in my life, which is a thing I've been trying to work on a lot more. And I think this month has also really taught me that that's something because originally, like, you go into a writing schedule where you're saying, I'm going to write 100,000 words in a month. That's roughly writing 3,300-ish words a day, 3,300 to 3,400 words a day. I could break it down like that and I could write 3,400 words a day. Or I can write nothing on some days and 10 to 12,000 words on some other days, which is not normal again. So it's one of those things where I'm like, do I want to achieve more moderation, or do I want to motivate myself to just make those extreme days more extreme? I'm still working on like what best motivates me overall as a creative person, as an entrepreneur, things like that. that. And I think a lot of us know that these are lifelong processes of figuring out, you know, what's the most efficient way for you on certain things. But I definitely developed certain processes that work well for me throughout this. For one thing, I know that writing sprints are super motivational to me. When I'm on watching someone else's stream and I'm typing in their chat, and they set a timer, it doesn't matter if the timer is 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I make a goal that whatever word count I write is going to be in the 4 digits. I'm not writing under 1,000 words in this sprint. So I'm constantly typing. I don't remove my fingers from the keyboard. If I don't think of something, I write the sentence, and if it sounds awful, I delete it and write it again. Like that kind of thing. Just staying focused, using the sprint as time to not stop writing no matter what, really does push you forward. And trying to get as many words as you can possibly type in a certain amount of time, it does push you forward, and you can go back and edit later. So just getting into that habit of doing that has been really helpful for me. I know earlier in this video I mentioned that I like to set pre-orders for books I haven't written yet, which I've told that to a couple friends before this. Some of them find that like ridiculously stress-inducing, and they're like, why would you ever put that on yourself? That is insane. And then I have a few other people who will say, no, that's a great idea. Like, if it's going to push you to get it done, and you need to push yourself, that working well under pressure is going to push you to get it done, then do it. Right? I guess there's always the idea that, like, if the book turns out so awful that I would feel terrible for the idea that anyone would have paid to read it, then I can always, you know, still go back on it, lose my pre-order status for a year if it's that bad. It's the thing where it's like I can make that choice on an individual basis. But, like, setting those circumstances where I can't allow myself to fail kind of pushes me not to. I don't know if that makes sense, and I don't know if this is going to be a thing I do for the rest of my life, or like in 2 or 3 years if I'm going to decide I don't need that stress in my life and I'm going to do things in a more normal way. But as I'm figuring out my process, I'm glad that I did that. Like with this romance that I have coming out tomorrow, the fact that I set a release date on it and said, it's coming out on Tuesday, November 21st, because I want it out before Thanksgiving, so it's coming out that day whether you guys like it or not. If I set that goal for myself, okay, I gave myself 9 days to draft from the first draft, from the outline really, for outline to first draft, to redraft, to revise, to proofread, to format, to publish, to do all of that with this book. I'm glad I did, because looking back, that forced me to push myself to have that 11,000 word writing day, to have that 12,000 word writing day, to get this book in the best shape it could be in the fastest possible amount of time. So I think there is something to be said for the rapid release form of releasing books, because it's going to push you to put out a lot more writing. And while on the one hand you could say, yeah, but if you're writing fast, what if the writing sucks? Again, that's what revising is for, that's what editing's for. And then on top of that, the more you write, the better you're going to be at writing. The more time I spend writing, even if what I'm writing isn't very good, knowing where I might need to go back and fix something, writing with the idea of being able to have that judgment going on in my head as I'm writing, that's a skill you learn over time, and the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. So it feels like doing more writing is not going to hurt. That's kind of what I've been figuring out as I'm going about this. But now that I'm setting my plan for the rest of the month, I'm hoping that tonight I will get a good amount of writing done, and that tomorrow I will as well, in addition to writing the script, because when I'm writing scripts for videos, I don't count that as part of my word count total for this. So tonight's goal is finish the romance. Tomorrow's goal is back to the YA novel, which I also need to make significant progress on over Thanksgiving. And then once I finish this romance and finish the YA novel, I think that should be 100,000 words. But we're going to have to wait and see. One thing that I failed on, when I say failed, it's November 20th. There's 10 days left in this month. I'm only 67% of the way through the month to begin with. So there's no failing yet. There's still time to finish all of this. But one thing that I guess I've neglected along the way is, like I mentioned earlier, making progress in Crime and Fashion, which was my current novel work in progress, the women's fiction novel about a journalist who infiltrates a multi-level marketing company. I haven't made any progress on that because I've been really focused on making progress on this YA novel, which is this new idea I've been so wrapped up in and just walking around dreaming about the characters and the plots and the dialogue and what's going to happen, which is such a wonderful place to be in when you're writing. But having, from working on that to also getting myself so invested in these Christmas romances and wanting to write them fast and get them out in time for the holidays and things like that, those have been really consuming my mind and consuming what I've been doing. And as a result, the other book that I've been working on that I really did want to make progress on this month, even though the book's not coming out till later, that one's kind of fallen by the wayside. And I think that also says a lot about, like I said, how I work well under pressure. If my brain is saying, Savvy, you need to finish this full draft of this YA novel this month. And also, you have to write these Christmas romances this month because you put it in Amazon that you're writing them. And if you put it in Amazon and Amazon's going to penalize you if you don't upload them, then that's going to be bad. So you've locked in these goals for yourself and they have to be done now. They can't be done later. That's going to force me to do them. Whereas like with this work in progress on crime and fashion, if the idea is like, okay, I'm planning to release this novel in late 2024, I still have a few more months to finish the first draft before it's really a big deal, and I can theoretically catch up next month if I need to. That's not going to force me and push me to write it the same way that this is. So what I'm learning more and more is that I work so well under pressure, and part of that's getting this video edited right now. I needed to get this video edited in advance to send it off to a sponsor, and I locked that in because I work well under pressure. So I think a lot of this comes down to figuring out how well you work. But I'm still open to learning, and I'm still going to see what more happens. I hope you guys have been enjoying my NaNoWriMo journey as we've gone along.